Morning, everybody. This is the special meeting of the Board of Fire Commissioners, and we don't have a quorum yet this morning, so we cannot have a roll call, but we can have I guess we can still have all of the matters that don't require a vote, and I guess you can, for the record, just show how many people are present for the meeting, how many commissioners are present for the meeting. So do a roll call right now. Yeah, can you hear me? Oh, here.
Tara?
Here.
At the moment, you have 2 commissioners present.
Okay, and we're waiting for a quorum. While we do that, why don't I just note that no public comments were submitted online before the start of the meeting, and we will move on with the flag salute and moment of silence.
Please stand, right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please join me in a moment of silence in honor of past and present members of the Los Angeles City Fire Department who devoted their lives to the protection of our community. Thank you.
So why don't we start with the report of the fire chief?
Thank you, Madam President. I have just a few events to talk about. Really, with COVID, there's really been a significant reduction in the community relations events. So most of the things that we've been doing have been for a video. So on July 13th, we initiated employment retirement video. This year, we've had several people, sworn and civilian members of our department, retire. Because of the COVID restrictions, there hasn't been an ability to have a retirement dinner or a retirement luncheon at a fire station. So what we decided to do was to do video greetings for myself, to thank the members for their service to the department. And our goal is to compile all the various videos and then post it so that all work locations can view all the members who have retired. So that's a work in progress, and we still have a few more video sessions to document. On July 15th, we had the Human Relations Focus Group. I gave the opening remarks. That's something that we created subsequent to the George Floyd death. We wanted to figure out the best way to move forward to have dialogue with our members throughout the department. That effort is being led with our captains from the planning section. We're using the methodology that we borrowed from Days of Dialogue. And with, once again, the COVID restrictions are causing us to be creative. And I don't want to bring a lot of firefighters and civilians together and congregate in one place. So we're going to be doing Zoom meetings, and each fire station location will be participating with a moderator facilitating dialogue between the Zoom meetings and the fire station locations. The third thing was a videotaping of our serology testing that we're preparing to offer to our sworn members. We have a partnership with USC, Cedars-Sinai, the Schwarzenegger Foundation, the LAFD Foundation, to combine efforts and monies to pay for serology testing, which will measure antibodies within our members to determine have they ever had the coronavirus in the past. Those members that test positive will have more testing to determine their antibody levels. It is a joint labor management effort with President Escobar from UFLAC and President Moore from the COA. rollout date is sometime in August. That concludes my report, Madam President.
Thank you, Chief. We still don't have a quorum, I believe.
I see JW at the bottom. I don't know who renamed that person, but is that James Wong?
Forgive me, voice.
One moment, let me check. Hello, JW, I'm recognizing you. Is this James Wang?
Hello? Yes.
Thank you. No.
So we don't have Jimmy Woods Gray, right?
No.
So then we can't move forward with the meeting because we don't have a quorum. So because the rest of the items require votes. So so we need to continue everything until a further date, and yeah, so that's all we can do because we don't have a quorum. Thank you everybody for logging in. So sorry we don't have a quorum and can't move forward with the meeting. We will provide notice of a further meeting when we can get a quorum. 3A, Chief Everett, are you saying that I can hear 3A? Oh yeah, there's a verbal update on the response to coronavirus, so that we can hear because it doesn't require a vote.
Yeah.
That's Chief Hayden, correct?
No, that'll be me, Madam President.
That's going to be.
Everything else requires a vote, but 3A has no action attached to it, so that is something that could be heard today if you'd like.
That would be great. Thank you.
Okay, so good morning, Madam President and Commissioner Haro, Julie Rafish, Graham Everett, Deputy Chief, Chief of Staff, and just giving you a COVID update, kind of a snapshot of where we are with the COVID status. So breaking it down with our members that have tested positive, as of a snapshot of yesterday, we have 134 sworn members and 3 civilian members that tested positive since the outbreak. 91 sworn and 3 civilian members have since returned to duty. 43 sworn members and 0 civilian members remain in isolation. Our D7 decon operations have decontaminated 184 facilities and over 200 of our apparatus for decontamination procedures. And by gauging the cost savings in that endeavor by Chief Carapino and his crew, we've saved about $3 million in what we would have spent on a private vendor to do that kind of cleaning. So they're doing an outstanding job. Moving to our testing sites, our testing footprint is very robust. We have 60 members of LAFD, both civilian and sworn, working with 300 core members at the various testing sites. There's 6 drive-up sites, and they have the capability of testing about 20,000 people a day. Testing to date from the start is over 1 million people within the city testing sites. With the walk-in sites, there's 2 of those. And we also have a mobile testing group, and they've been working with the housing department at various locations throughout the city. In fact, today they're going to be doing testing at Nickerson Gardens. And they've also been working with various factories and other groups that are essential workers that are required testing throughout the city. We have a fire department and police department testing group. We have various fire station locations and work locations for fire department members to get tested on a daily basis throughout each of the bureaus. And in the police department, what we're doing is a train the trainer for the police department to provide training for their own members. And we also have a UHRC testing site. We have a site in Skid Row, and they also have a mobile unit working out of the UHRC that provides testing for people experiencing homelessness. So we do have quite a robust footprint in this space, and our members continue to provide testing for the city, for the citizens of the city, and we're doing a really good job there. So we'll continue that effort as long as it's needed, and that's in my report.
Oh, good morning, Commissioner Woods Gray.
Okay, great.
I really got my time mixed up. Apologize.
Nope. Stand by.
So thank you, Chief Everett, for that report. So I think we have a quorum now. Leticia, do you want to take the roll call now so that the meeting reflects that we have a quorum now?
One moment. Okay. Commissioner Woods Gray, if you could mute yourself, and then I will head over to unmute Commissioner Hara. Let me find him.
Okay.
One moment. Oh, I can hear you now, Commissioner Woods Gray.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Miss
Good morning.
Ma'am. Okay, I'm calling roll call. It's at 9:19 a.m. on July 21st, 2020. President Ibarra.
Here.
Glazier is absent. Hara.
Here.
Ninberg. Absent. Commissioner Woods Gray.
Here.
Chief Terrazas.
I'm here.
And Assistant City Attorney Rapish.
Julie has acknowledged that she is here, Leticia.
Okay, you have a quorum.
Thank you. So we started earlier, Commissioner Woods Gray, and did a report of the fire chief and roll call and flag salute. So remaining, we just have some votes. One is I need somebody to move the consent agenda items to A through 2F. Will one of the two commissioners do that, please?
I move consent agenda items A through F.
Commissioner O'Hara, do you second?
Stand by. I need to locate him again and unmute him. Commissioner Hara?
I second.
Okay, so all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Okay, so that sounds like we passed that. We have 2 items on the regular agenda, and we heard the first one, which was report by the department from Commissioner on the coronavirus from Commissioner Everett. The second one is report by the department on the overview of the United Homeless Response Center. And that is going to be Captain Wall. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome everybody, Madam President Ibarra, Commissioner Hara, and Commissioner Woods Gray, Council Julie Rapish, Fire Chief and Command Staff. My name is Brian Wall. I'm a captain assigned to the EOC and DOC as a coordinator, as well as the Homeless Response Liaison for the Fire Department. With the agenda item, the overview of the Unified Homelessness Response Center, or UHRC. Just a bit of an overview. You probably have the report, but just to summarize, keep it brief. This was established in 2018 by the Mayor's Office. The purpose of establishing the UHRC was to coordinate response to the homeless crisis in the city of Los Angeles. Co-locating representatives from all affected city departments in one space. This is located adjacent to the EOC. This has allowed for increased efficiency when addressing all homeless-related challenges. The UHRC is managed by representatives from Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority, or LAHSA, as well as LAPD, LADOT, Recs and Parks, LA Sanitation, DOD, Department of Disability, and representations from the Mayor's Office and various other departments. Our role as the fire department is to provide, recognize issues related to fire and life safety challenges, and then be able to report back. And an example is we have areas that are designated very high fire hazard severity zones, where we've had historic brush fires in these areas. So last year we were able to assist, along with this collaborative effort, in amending an ordinance that would allow for evacuation of people experiencing homelessness in these areas when there's a red flag event or augmented staffing. And this proved to be very fruitful. As a result of the Saddle Ridge fire, we had our first evacuation of that area, which could have been extremely catastrophic in terms of life loss. if we weren't able to exercise this ordinance. And so the LAFD participated in oversight of the evacuation, collaborating with LAPD and other recognized city departments so that we could provide a level of safety not only to the people experiencing homelessness, but perhaps any other ignition source as a result of an accidental fire from cooking or warming or what have you would have prevented another potential fire, much like had happened with the Skirball fire. So that's an overview, and that's the end of the report. Are there any questions?
Yeah, so this is basically you said it was like a co-location of resources with other agencies?
Yes.
And so and it only operates Monday through Friday?
That is correct. They are working on different deployment models when we do have these red flag or high hazard days or any weather event where they'd be able to have some representation, much like a duty officer availability for the weekend. But on day-to-day basis, it's Monday through Friday, 0600 to 1700 hours.
Okay. And it's only for fire suppression incidents when they sort of overlap with homelessness, right? So this isn't like the other, because we do deal with a lot of homeless people just generally in our department otherwise, correct?
Correct. So it's both issues related to EMS challenges that are faced in that population, as well as any fire suppression challenges or fire prevention challenges that are directly or indirectly related to, or that would be addressed by our department. And so we have a voice at the table to be able to collaborate and develop a plan by having that voice to ensure that we're providing the best possible solution.
Okay, so this also includes, because it includes EMS, it includes sort of the activity that we respond to, for example, at 9 on a daily basis also, correct? That's
correct. There's several data collection entities from our EPCR. If there's an increase in, let's say, this fentanyl outbreak in that community, they're able to report back. Chief Zabilski from our EMS Bureau is involved in the UHRC as well. Although I'm the homeless response liaison, I do connect with other members of our fire department. Chief Hayden, who is on right now, he also is involved on the fire prevention side and brush clearance, which has a component of persons experiencing homelessness. So it touches many areas, not only within the city, but our department as well.
Okay. So it seems like there's a lot of activity in the city with respect to how we provide services to homeless people experiencing homelessness, and some sort of like evolution about what those services are going to look like. And I think that we should be involved in sort of developing, this is more for Chief Terrazas perhaps, developing sort of strategies about how to get other service providers involved in responding on an emergency basis, so that our department people aren't so reliant in our department. And so we should start thinking about what work can be done by other providers. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we're always going to do, but I think part of the reason why people call us is because we're available on a 24-hour basis. So any service that people need that is outside of service hours, people just call the fire department or the police department. And because there's a movement of having less police involvement, it seems like it wouldn't necessarily be a good move to just move that to fire department. I don't know if this is making any sense, but
Madam President, I do have some comments on that. Your comments are very timely. Yesterday I was on a conference call involving many of the city leaders, and it was about a discussion of reimagining 911. And there already is a work group between LA County and LA City having regular meetings. So I participated in the Zoom meeting yesterday and shared some of our thoughts on a pilot program with the Department of Mental Health. And we're really early in the discussion, but we do have a goal of activating a pilot program by September 1st. And the partnership would entail LA County Department of Mental Health providing 5 mental health vans with 3 people on board. One person's a driver, one person's a caseworker, and one person's a mental health expert. Each van is equipped with a TV, so there's a telepsych component. So we initiated this effort prior to the George Floyd incident, and COVID kind of slowed down our progress, but we have been engaged with them, and those 5 vans would be located within 5 of our fire stations that they were picked because each of those stations is within this county supervisor's district that overlaps the city, and there's a nearby facility to transport these mental health patients. So we're actively discussing and talking to LAPD, Department of Mental Health, Mayor's Office, CAO, and we're fine-tuning the plan so that we're ready to activate September 1st. We do have the expectation that the plan will evolve as we progress through the pilot program. Can you hear me okay now? Any change?
Yes, I hear you.
I guess what I'm saying is that your comments are on point. We will be taking calls away from LAPD, except those calls that we feel we need their presence, like when the patient may have a weapon, the patient may be violent. There'll always be a certain percentage of those calls LAPD will have to continue to respond to, but we believe that we can reallocate those calls to Department of Mental Health along with our support.
Chief, in reimagining 911, I hope that they will also think of ways that citizens can actually get through to 911 in an emergency when there's a real citywide emergency, because the lines become busy and people can't get through, and that's a real big complaint from the community.
That's a good point, Commissioner. I was talking about volume yesterday with Chief Moore. LAFD handles 500,000 calls. LAPD processes 3 or 4 million calls. So you're right, capacity has to be expanded, but we're hoping that by offloading some of these calls to the appropriate agencies, there'll be less coming into the 911 system.
Okay. All right, well, we look forward to hearing more about that as those plans develop, Chief. Okay.
Madam President, I move to receive and file item BFC 20-018.
Okay, and do I get a second?
You got to let him in.
From Commissioner.
Second.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Aye.
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 So that's received and filed. Thank you for your report. So moving on to 3C, which is report by the department on the revised promotional examination and timeline.
Good morning, Commissioner Ibarra and Commissioners.
Good morning.
Chief Terrazas and Assistant City Attorney Radfish. My name is Steve Hissong. I'm the Assistant Chief of the Training Division assigned to the Training and Support Bureau. I'm here today to present to you the revised promotional examination timeline as part of our succession plan to prepare for the predicted record high deferred retirement option plan, also known as the DROP. The purpose of this report is, as a part of our current strategic plan, the LAFD is preparing for the highest number of retirements in the fiscal year of 2023 and 2024, especially at the command level. This report sets the course to align the beginning of the promotional dates with the highest months of those projected drop dates. The information provided in this report has been a collaborative effort between the Training and Support Bureau, Personal Services Section, and the support of the command staff. To give a little history on page 2 of the report, the second chart provides the last 10 years of the drop numbers and identifies the LAFD has had a very similar record high attrition in the 2 fiscal years of 2014 and 2016. But it also identifies the multiple low years of attrition right after or following. So we're predicting after 2024, we'll have the same predicted low numbers right afterwards. So the promotional timelines that we're trying to set forth will be able to align those promotional dates with the highest months of the actual retirement option plan. So as the predicted attrition, as it's coming in 2024 and 2023, 2024, the results of the difference between 2014 and 2016 was we had a very difficult time keeping up with the recruit training as well as the promotional examinations. The promotional examinations at that time completely were exhausted, and it changed the frequency of when our promotional dates were. So by realigning the promotional dates, we'll be able to actually change the course from our next highest attrition dates to have more predictability. So along with that, on page 2, on chart 1, the very first chart, it actually shows what the established dates will be as we move forward. As we provided on this chart, there's actually 6 ranks with specific promotional dates, and those are the core ranks that we have troubles with as we move forward. Of those 6 ranks, 4 of the promotional exam dates have been realigned for the predictability. And one note I have to make is that when we put this report together, COVID has kind of changed a little bit of those alignment dates. So the apparatus operator established dates will actually be changed from what the report says, because we've had to postpone the written test as well as the practical, upcoming practical part of it. And the apparatus or the assistant chief established date, we had to change that date also. So those 2 will end up being a little bit different than what the report says. So by realigning the promotional timelines as part of our succession planning, we've created a more balanced approach to conducting future promotional exams. With this realignment, we'll actually do 3 things. We'll provide predictability for the department and the city personnel department rather than just conducting multiple exams on the same approximate dates. The second thing is we'll allow the department time to provide preparatory and mentorship programs such as the LAFD Training Institute and specific ranks academies. And then the third thing is we'll allow our candidates predictability in the personal scheduling to properly prepare for the responsibilities of these newly desired positions. The reason we need to make these adjustments now is because the next promotional exam will set the course for when the new exam starts during those time periods of 23-24. As stated in this report though, other promotional exams such as the inspectors, the specialty positions such as the helicopter pilots, fireboat mates, will still be based on the department needs. These efforts will ensure the department is prepared for a well-balanced and predicted approach to prepare for these record high attritions that will happen in the 23-24. That concludes my report. If you have any questions.
Thank you so much for this report. So there's a number of concerning things here. One of them for me is just how we're gonna sort of keep diversity balance as we figure out how to balance our needs and keep this promotion schedule going. Do you have any thoughts about that right now?
One of the best advantages we've had by having predictable dates is having time to actually put on the promotional preparatory programs. By having the promotional preparatory programs, it allows an opening for all members, and it helps to ensure that we create that diversity of the talent pool that we have. Versus in the years past, we've always kind of predicted on the fire stations to provide that mentorship. So by having consistent, specific rank academies, we'll actually be able to help incentivize the promotional process for all members and actually create a better mentorship program through the process that it goes along with. By having these dates consistent, it allows us time to actually put forth the efforts for those promotional programs. We've tried to do it a couple of times before, and because the promotional process was pushed forward without the predictability sometimes, we weren't able to put forth the efforts for those promotional programs. So members were dependent upon their own time of studying or the fire station mentorship programs themselves.
Okay.
So, Chief, by changing these dates, are you thinking that the fire department will have more control over when they happen and how they happen?
It's actually threefold. It helps the department, like I say, with the promotional preparatory programs. It helps the city personnel because right now we have multiple tests all happening all at the same time. So it taxes the city personnel to be able to conduct all of those. And more importantly, in some ways for our members, it gives them predictability on when to start studying. So for example, the Captain 1's exam, most members that really take it serious, they have to study for almost a year, and not knowing exactly when the exam is, it's like trying to prepare for a marathon and you don't exactly know when you want your time to peak. So by having predictability all the way through the 23-24 fiscal year allows our members to really kind of dial in when they should start their preparatory programs, when the department's going to help them with the mentorship programs, and when to actually peak. For example, with the marathon analysis, it gives them exactly when the dates are going to be for the tests.
There's a lot of space in between some of the new dates. For instance, Captain 1, I assume the list expires on 12/20. And then the new one is established on 5/21?
Yes, and the reason for that is that it allows us the time to actually split when the highest number of attrition is going to be in the 23-24 fiscal year. So for example, in 2014 and 2016, because our promotional list actually incorporated both of the highest attrition dates, we had record high promotional lists. In those 2 years, we had 156 Captain 1s. When you have record high promotional lists, we're not always hiring from the top of the list. So this allows us to align those up. So when we have our highest number of attrition coming up, we'll actually be working off of the top of the promotional list.
Oh, I see. So if you need a Captain 1 between December and May, what happens?
We've looked at how many people are actually going to be retiring, and no one will lose the opportunity to promote. It's just what list they will promote off of. So
what list will exist between 12/20 and 5/21?
There won't be a list established at that time period, but the vacancies that occur between those time periods will be picked up on the promotional list that starts in July. So we've looked at how many people are actually retiring in that time period to know that it's not going to be a major impact to the department by carrying those vacancies for those 7 months.
So you actually have a Captain 1's list starting in July?
Commissioner Woods-Gray, if I could add something, this is the Fire Chief. Your question is a good one. You're looking at the gap between December of 2020 to May of 2021 for Captain 1. I have the ability to extend lists up to 60 days based on the needs of the department. So that gap really isn't 5 months. It would be at the most 3 months.
Like 3 months?
Right.
So what if you need a Captain 1 in 3 months?
That won't be a problem. We have people working overtime We do have the ability for members to work up if we had to and work down to fill the spot. I think the value of this, and we talked about this project about a year ago,
Yes.
is it lines everything up like Chief Hissong was describing, and we'll be able to pull from the top of the list when we not predict, it's actually stronger than that. The drop data is pretty consistent. We'll be picking from the top of the list to fill when we have the most positions to fill.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So what about, are there lists existing for the battalion chiefs and the assistant chiefs right now, and the engineers? Are there, those lists will just expire?
Yes, the engineers list still has almost another year before it expires. The assistant chiefs were
About how many people are on that list?
I don't have that number off the top of my head, ma'am.
Okay. So there are lists, but I won't ask about the other two either. So, so I noticed that it said the remaining promotional exam timelines will remain unaffected. So I don't see paramedics on here anyplace. How does that affect the paramedics?
The paramedics is not considered a promotional type thing. It's more of a schooling, and they get the Class F grade. But we'll continue with the same frequency of paramedic schooling to get as many paramedics certified as possible.
Oh, so when the paramedics go to school and they finish, they just move into being a paramedic?
That is correct, ma'am.
We don't have to have a promotion for them.
That is
just
correct.
Once they complete their training and indicate they want to be in that position.
That is correct, ma'am.
That's what happens there. Okay, very good. Now, one of the other things I've always asked for is to have an ethnic breakdown of these lists when I see them, the drop list. So I was just wondering, I'd like to have you bring this back to me so I can see the ethnic breakdown of the anticipated drop attrition.
I think we have something like that we.
Is it on this list? On this page?
It's not on this page, but it gets circulated periodically. Like I think it's.
I want to see the list for this particular the drop list for the change that we're talking about.
Yeah, Commissioner.
Everett?
Yeah, Commissioner Chief Everett here. We've met with Personnel Services, and I can refresh. We have met with them about creating a report that would include diversity in the drop report, which is separate and apart from this. And I can have a discussion with you about the mechanics of doing that.
But I would like to see this list, this particular group. I want to know how many of every ethnic group is anticipated dropping, especially from 1920 through 23-24.
Yeah, and I can.
And they did bring a report once. Once they brought the report. Once. Yes, ma'am. I remember.
That's the
I did ask for it though.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'd like to see the anticipation of what we anticipate. Is there a date or something that this passing this would affect today?
The exam timelines or the drop report you're requesting?
This report. Does it have to be passed today? Is there some timeline that it affects?
The advantage of setting forth the course allows us to start putting forth the promotional timeline. So for example, like I said, the Captain 1s, it takes almost a year for us to actually put forth, request it from Personnel Department. So it will really help us let Personnel Department know when we're going to be doing the timelines that it's approved. As far as the ethnic breakdown of the Deferred Retirement Option Plan, Personal Services section does have that report, and they have the complete ethnic report that we could look into providing that. So it's kind of twofold. You're absolutely right. It helps us align how many we're going to have retiring. But as far as changing the dates, it's not going to change the dates necessarily.
Well, I would like to see the ethnic breakdown before we pass the report, because I've asked in the past that we see these reports with ethnic breakdowns.
Ma'am, so Chief Everett again. So as I said, we met with Personnel Services about providing the drop report diversity numbers. That is separate and apart from this timeline for promotional exams. We can produce that. It's very labor intensive with the staff, but we can produce it. The other thing is the people that are going to be taking these exams are not necessarily in a majority in the drop. The majority of these folks are people that are coming on the job, and our diversity numbers are so much stronger now that we should have good diversity numbers of the members taking the promotional exams, because they're on the front end of their career versus the members in the last 5 years of their career. But we can provide you the drop report. That is a separate and different report than what we're talking about here with the promotional timelines.
Well, I think it should be reflected in this report so that we understand exactly who we're losing.
Well, I agree with you that that's something that we definitely need to understand, and that's why I led with that question. However, we established a timeline that the department can get working on this, because this is obviously, I mean, we've known that, you know, we're going to have some demographic crunches because people are going to be retiring, I don't necessarily want to delay accepting this report until we have those numbers, because I can't see us. I mean, we might have, you know, we might look at those numbers and see that it's going to affect certain positions more than others, and that should be concerning to us. But does that mean that we're going to delay accepting these deadlines? I don't think that's wise, because the department needs to predictability, and it needs to move forward anyway. But your concerns are top of mind, I think, for all the commissioners. So it is something that we need to sort of revisit and look at. And I think that what Chief Everett is saying is that your requests before have been about the who enters the drop and and we do have some of those reports, right? But then what is being requested now is, like, you're requesting that they pull together the ethnicities of everybody who might sit for these exams, and that seems like there's going to be some speculation to that.
No, my request is for the drop attrition program. I would like to know, if you know that 68 people are going to be dropping in 21-22, what is the ethnic breakdown of that group?
So we do have that, right?
I don't.
Yes, well, so that's what I've been saying. The Personnel Services section, we met. That report has to be generated, and it is something that they can do by commingling the diversity report and the drop report. Because the drop report was coming from the personnel department, or from the pensions department, I'm sorry, those numbers were difficult for them to consolidate. But we can have staff do that. It's just a separate report from the promotional timeline report.
But so I would like to look at both of these reports at the same time. I want to know how many people of various ethnic groups are dropping. If it's on the report, I want to see that side by side so that I know exactly. And there's the all of the lists except for engineers expires in July, or June. But the chief already said he has a possibility of extending them for 2 months. So therefore, it wouldn't. I could still get the report back in time, I believe, in a timely manner, to begin to prepare for whatever the next exam is going to be. What is the next exam going to be?
We're working on the apparatus operator exam right now, and the assistant chief's exam is still it's in motion right now also. They just took the written test recently, the essay test.
Okay. So my feeling is that even though Commissioner Woods-Gray's request is valid, it is time consuming. I don't want, there's going to be issues with like getting a quorum, setting this up again, and I can't, you know, my feeling is we can't go back and ask the department to produce this time-intensive report in a couple of months before we adopt a schedule, because this is what this report is basically doing, is helping us adopt a schedule. So that's my recommendation to the other commissioners, and I mean I would like to vote aye, and then with the request, because we're going to adopt the schedule nonetheless, because we don't have, you know, we don't have tons of other options. So my recommendation is adopt the report and then ask the department to put together the report that Commissioner Woods Gray wants separately, and bring to the department so that we, I mean, to the commission, so that we can how this diversity is going to be impacted. Chief Terrazas, do you think diversity is going to be going to be impacted by this?
I don't believe the impact, diversity impact, will be significant at all. Chief Everett was correct when he said that the drop numbers, that population, they're at their end of their career. I do anticipate moving forward that as we've initiated hiring 6 years ago, all those younger members now are starting to become eligible for taking promotional exams. So I believe that the increased diversity within our recruit classes will play out with increased diversity through our promoted ranks. So the two issues are the promotional timeline, as well as the composition of the members retiring, the ethnic composition. There's really no correlation between those two issues. I understand Commissioner Woods Gray request, and we will diligently work on getting that report to her. But my expectation in terms of diversity in the future is that it will continue to improve.
Okay. Well, we can move forward with this report if all three of the commissioners vote aye. If not, then we would have to table it and then come back. And then it couldn't move forward until we have a quorum again. Commissioner Woods Gray?
I had another question on the remaining promotional exam timelines, like the inspector 1 and 2. Are there other areas that are unaffected by this particular chart?
The only ranks that we were looking at trying to alter or realign the promotional dates were the ones that were indicated on this report. All the other promotional opportunities will still be dependent on the needs of the department. So for example, a helicopter pilot, if we have a vacancy, we'll be able to conduct the test at the appropriate time. Same thing with the inspectors. So the timelines on those ranks are not what's being requested to realign. It's just these ranks that we're talking about specifically in this report.
Those are the only 3 that are unaffected.
No, there's other ranks, ma'am. There's the fireboat mate, there's the helicopter pilots, there's the inspector 1, the inspector 2. Again, the only ones that we're referencing on realigning the date specifically are the ones that are on this report.
But I'm saying, are these 4 that you have listed here as examples the only 4 that are not affected?
They are the only 4 that will be affected. These 4 are the ones that we are realigning the dates. That's why they're on this report.
But it says they will remain unaffected.
No, it's saying that the other ranks, meaning the inspector 1, the inspector 2, are the ones that will not be affected. Only the ones.
That's what I thought you were saying. We were saying, and I said, are there others in that category that will be unaffected?
I don't know all of the other ranks, ma'am, like to list them off. The only ones that I'm saying that will be affected are the 4 that are on this report.
Okay. I still would like to see the ethnic breakdown. I know it might take some time, but if we could do it within the next month, or if not, bring the report back within the next month to see if for an update, I would certainly appreciate that, because that does affect my voting.
So just to clarify, so you won't accept the schedule unless you see that report? Commissioner Woods-Gray?
Because I think that it should be easy to get the report. If you can get the numbers of people that will be dropping, you should know who they are. I guess it didn't seem like it would be that difficult to figure out who they are if they have the number already.
Ma'am,
where did the number come from?
Yeah, the difficulty is that they're two separate reports and they have to be consolidated by hand. So every person that's in drop has to manually be consolidated with the diversity report, which can be done, but we just, at this time, it'll be a draw on staffing, which we don't have in the personnel services section. We can certainly move towards that goal, but that's why it takes longer than just pulling up the report.
Mitch.
Sorry, I missed that.
So the personnel services section would compile this report for us. They take a report from the drop report from pensions, and they take the diversity report that we have from personnel. They have to manually insert the diversity numbers into the drop numbers because the systems are different. At this time, with our staffing shortages due to COVID in the offices, and we had this problem before COVID as well, it's just a very staff-intensive project to do. It can be done. It's just going to take some time to manually change manually update the drop report for everyone that's in drop. But like I say, the numbers exist. It's just a matter of putting them all together. And due to the staffing, folks that aren't coming to the office because of the COVID concerns. So we can definitely move in that direction, but that's the time delay. It's not just a simple report that we pull up from one database.
Well, I would like to see it brought back as soon as you can complete it.
And I agree, as soon as that can be done, we'll bring that report. I guess for today, what we need to decide is if you're going to hold up the schedule for the entire department's promotional schedule based on that.
I would like for the report to be brought back with the information I requested on it as soon as possible.
So you're going to hold up the entire promotional schedule for the entire Los Angeles Fire Department on that basis? Yes or no?
I would like for the report to be brought back to this commission with the information that I have requested.
Okay, so you're holding it up. So we can't move forward with this because we need 3 votes on it. So you're stalling the promotional schedule for the entire Los Angeles City Fire Department. So we can't move forward unless I'm going to get a yes vote on that. And you're saying you're not going to give me a yes vote. Okay. So then
I would like for the report to be brought back with the information that I have requested.
Leticia, can we have a roll call now? Oh, first of all, I guess is anybody going to move the report? I'll move the report.
I'll second.
So there's 2 seconds. So can we have a roll call? Leticia, are you there?
Ibarra,
Aye.
Hara,
Aye.
Woods-Gray.
No.
Okay. So we'll schedule it as soon as we can. So do we have any public comment? We didn't get anything beforehand.
I would like to request a change in the agenda for the next meeting so that the commissioners have a comment section.
Okay, we'll consider that.
Because otherwise, there's no place for me to make comments. And there are some relatively important comments that need to be made or just mentioned.
We don't have public comment, so you can make public comment now.
Okay. I think that everyone is aware of the fact that the mayor ordered a ED 27, and I would like to have the chief update us on where the department is headed with that executive directive. It has to do with racial equality, and I don't need to go into all of the information because I'm sure the chief has been given that information, but I would like to have that information brought forth in just to update us as to where the department is, because I know there is a timeline on it. And also I would like to have information or contact with whoever the equity, the racial equity officer is going to be for our department, so that I can see and know what they're writing and sending in.
We'll make that happen, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Okay. And we don't have any public comments, right, Leticia?
I don't see any, but I will double check. I see no hands raised.
Okay. So we can adjourn. I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you.